Hello and welcome to Comic Book Junkies. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Joe.
And on today's agenda, we're going to be including the Green Lantern HBO series announcement. We're going to be touching on the Galactus Trilogy, our book of the week by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And lastly, we're going to discuss our dream creative team and what book it would be on. So first off, Joe, like I said, Green Lantern HBO just got a new announcement today. There is going to be 10 episodes, each an hour long, spanning galaxies and decades, featuring the likes of Guy Gardner, Jessica Cruz, Alan Scott, Simon Baz, Kilowog, Sinestro, and many, many more. It's looking to be written by Seth Grahame-Smith, who I'm not terribly familiar with, and it will be produced and co-written by Mark Guggenheim of Arrowverse TV show fame. Ew. So, what do you think about that?
I think everybody at this point knows how I feel about DC moving to HBO. That's kind of exciting, especially Green Lantern, because the most recent Green Lantern movie we had was terrible with Ryan Reynolds. So this gives them a chance to kind of clean that stuff up. I like that the show is going to depict a lot of different lanterns because there's so many of them and most people don't really know a lot about them because it's mostly the characters that take place in space. And so this will give DC a chance to shed some light to that part of their universe. It's also going to be nice to see Guy Gardner, Jessica Cruz, and Alan Scott, all really cool Green Lanterns. They deserve some attention from DC. Although I'm sad that they are leaving Hal Jordan and Jonathan Stewart out of the mix, I hope that they eventually get their own movie or they make up for that somehow. So that is what I hope they do. And then at least we'll get to see Sinestro, probably the most iconic Green Lantern villain. So I am excited to see him. As far as the screenwriter goes, I don't know anything about either of them really. You mentioned that one of them worked on the Arrow show. The first season, I loved it when it first came out. So that's a little encouraging and on brand. The show really tapered off, so I stopped watching it. It's like the more it went on, the less quality it got. It kind of felt more like a Batman story, but Green Arrow skins. But either way, it started strong. So it sounds like it's an on-brand screenwriter. And if he can make it anything like the first season of Arrow and it's shown on HBO, I can't be mad. What are your thoughts?
Nah, dog, because Mark Guggenheim's been overseeing that whole Arrowverse, like all those shows interconnecting, weaving in and out. He's been kind of like overseeing that in the big Googer. I don't know if I trust him because, I mean, obviously we saw where the CW went, and it was a whole lot of corn, dude, and a whole lot of but you know what I'm saying? With Jeff Johns kind of spearheading Green Lantern and kind of like being the foster parent of Green Lantern ever since like Green Lantern Rebirth and, you know, getting homeboy Hal back on track and whatnot. He was rumored to have been like overseeing this, but then, you know, Ray Fisher was like saying like Jeff is kind of a turd bucket. But, you know, I don't know if he's still involved overseeing things. He's not getting credit, at least as of right now. So I don't know if that's good if we're just letting Arrowverse guy do his thing without Jeff overseeing it. But I do think it's going to be cool to see all these different characters because, I mean, I'm loosely familiar with Jessica Cruz. You know, I know about Alan Scott. I love Guy Gardner. He's hilarious. Don't know that much about Simon Baz. I know he's got a gun, which is sweet. Other than that, I mean, there's no Kyle Rayner, so the big rain dog, he's out. No Hal. And then John. I mean, John's probably my favorite Green Lantern. I mean, him and Hal are a toss-up. So, I mean, that kind of sucks. But it is what it is. I can see why they're going for it since they're already kind of household names as far as Green Lanterns go. So it's kind of cool to shine a light on these lesser known characters, especially giving them hour-long episodes on a quality platform like HBO. They should really be able to, you know, like dive deep in who the characters are and like flesh out their personalities for a new audience. So, I mean, it's a kind of a mixed bag here. Like, it's cool, the concept and who's included, I love, but I don't know that I love Arrowverse guy being like the head guy here.
I think part of the problem with Arrowverse is that it expanded across like all of CW. Because this is only 10 episodes, I'm hoping that they kind of narrow it in a little better. The only thing I hope that they focus or narrow in on is I don't think a lot of people really know that the Green Lantern Corps is almost like a police station, kind of space cops. And so in that sense, I really hope they narrow in on that aspect of the Green Lantern Corps.
Dude, I sure hope not. That's terribly tone deaf in today's society. A-glab, dude. All Green Lanterns are bastards. I don't want to see this. Nah, dog, I'm just playing. I think this is going to be sweet. I think seeing Space Cop on TV will be sweet. And because they're Space Cops, I hope we can finally get to Ran, see Adam Strange, hopefully in like a cameo or an episode. Maybe they go to Thanagar and see my boy Hawkman. That'd be pretty tight. But it's really going to depend on, we'll have to see what the pilot episode looks like and see what kind of direction they're taking this in.
Yeah, that being said, is there anything else that you want to add on the Green Lantern HBO series?
Nah, dog, I'm all good. I say let's get into our book of the week.
So this week we're reading Fantastic Four issues 48 through 50, written by Stan Lee, Stan the Man, and pencils by Jack Kirby. The story takes place in 1966 through the 3 issues. The first one is The Coming of Galactus, which starts in issue 48. It starts off with Black Bolt's evil brother Maximus the Magnificent. He fires a Atmo gun far, far away, which sets vibrations that ring through all of Earth and the galaxy. I love that Stan Lee always uses alliteration for his characters. Maximum the Magnificent, the Sensational Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four. But the thing is all shaken up when he feels these vibrations, and he calls Reed Richard Stretcho because he thinks that he was doing the vibrations. Black Bolt comes out of nowhere to save the day. I love the Inhumans. Black Bolt lands next to his brother, listens to him babble a little bit. For those that don't know a lot about Black Bolt, he can't actually speak, so he kind of stands there quietly, and once his brother's done rambling, he smacks him upside the head and knocks him on his ass. So that was kind of cool.
He slapped the shit out of him, dude. And then Medusa's just coming in. She's like, nah, dog, you fail. And she's got like her whole little thing about humans aren't the enemy. We're just like them. But Maximus, nobody restrains his ass. And they just kind of let him sit there and they kind of talk at him and scold him like he's a child. And he just like runs between everybody, gets back to his machine, and creates a negative zone around where they are. And the FF got a dip. Johnny and Crystal are split up. Johnny's sad as hell. And the negative zone just solidifies and like, that's that, dude. Abrupt stop. No more Inhumans. Everyone's separated.
Johnny was so hurt too. His basically girlfriend gets sucked into the negative zone and he can do nothing about it. He's okay with getting sucked in with her, like a Romeo and Juliet type thing. But the thing steps in and he's just like, bro, there's plenty of fish in the sea, and nabs him right out and pulls him into that little force field that Susan Storm creates to save them from the negative zone.
Dude, on that note, I mean, this is a little bit of foreshadowing, but what would they honestly do without Susan Storm? She's the most clutch member out of all of them from what I can tell. But, I mean, moving past that, we see the first appearance of the Silver Surfer just zipping through space, which is badass. We've had years and years to get used to the Silver Surfer and like his badassery. I mean, we obviously read Infinity Gauntlet where he's like a key player in it, but it's really cool to see how he was characterized and kind of how he was just introduced to the story, because this was the first time anybody had ever seen him.
First time anybody's ever seen Galactus too. And I think Silver Surfer's the bigger name, the household name, but they're both pretty iconic characters to Marvel, and you get both of these characters in Fantastic Four issue 48. It's a first appearance I've always wanted to own. I think you own it actually.
Hell yeah.
It's an awesome book for any collector. But the story's good too, and that's why we're reviewing it. So come him creating that negative zone, the Fantastic Four are kind of done there. They get in their jet so they can go back to Earth. The Thing notices that there's 2 suns when traveling back to Earth, and one of them keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the sky turns to flames, so they know that something's up. The Human Torch is going to check it out, but everybody blames him for causing it just because he's basically all fire. So they start chucking bricks at the dude. Poor guy. The flames end up going away. The sky clears a little bit, and now the Fantastic Four kind of gets to regroup and think about things in the Baxter building. There's a lot of funny bits in this issue, so I really enjoyed it. In the Baxter building, the Invisible Woman, Susan Storm, is hurt because Reed Richards spends way too much time in his lab and never takes her out to dinner.
Yeah, dude, it's like when I watch football and my girl wants attention.
I think everybody can relate to the relationship that these two have. A monitor turns on because Reed Richards is listening and he yells at her for disturbing him while he's trying to work on his lab. Thought that was kind of funny. Brought some humor to the story. But before it gets further escalated, the sky kind of now is filled with space debris. So Susan Storm goes to pull Reed Richards from his lab, and it turns out he's not alone in there. The Watcher is in the building, and even he is scared because Silver Surfer's on his way to Earth, and so is Galactus. He's kind of the herald for Galactus. Galactus, and Galactus is known for draining planets of their elements, leaving them kind of high and dry. Even though the Watcher is known to more record history than to interfere with it, he does step in and kind of wants to guide the Fantastic Four so that they don't lose their planet.
Yeah, dude. And it's just funny when Susan goes in there and she sees the Watcher's big ass, beefy ass, just standing in there with his huge head and his double chin. And he's just in there putting shit in the sky. And she's just like, what the hell? This is what you two been doing in here? And, and she's like, you've been ignoring me for this like big butthead. And it's just like, hell yeah, dude. It's wild. But pretty much Surfer finds the planet, which is what Watcher's like, oh shit, oh fuck, we can't let that happen. And then like Surfer just lands and he's like, oh shit, god damn it. And he's like, I can't interfere, but I really like y'all.
That is kind of what happens to end the end of that issue. He doesn't want to interfere, but he does like the Thing gets kind of upset and punches Silver Surfer off the roof, but they're clearly no match for Galactus. That concludes issue 48, and here comes issue 49.
Yo, real quick though, Galactus in his first like cameo appearance there at the very end, his color scheme's way different than what we're used to seeing. He's red and green instead of his traditional purple, which I thought was like pretty weird. I mean, I know that like they had incidents like that with the Hulk where he went from gray to green, but that's like a printing error issue. They only had limited colors between the issues, or it's a printing error, whatever. But I was surprised that they did that there. Did editorial get to them between 48 and 49, or I wonder what that was about. But I'm glad they went with purple because he looks way better than in red and green.
That's a good observation. You know, when I was reading it, I didn't really notice it because I was just looking at his butt head. But that's something to point out. And little background information. Yeah, there was printing errors for the Incredible Hulk, so that's why he went from gray to green. But this was kind of a little later on, not too later in comics, because I believe they both happened in the 60s. But I would be surprised if they had another printing error.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. But like I said, Galactus is magically purple now, and he comes down and he's like on his spiel saying, I don't give a damn about people. He's like, I need resources, circa like George Bush. So it's just like, you know what, man, we're invading this territory and we're taking it. He's coming for our water and trees like it's oil. And I'm like, you know what, I get it. I mean, he's just up there, he's whooping ass with ease. Everyone just goes and retreats because what can they do? Galactus is like huge as hell. I mean, we got like the Thing sitting in a bathtub, we got Reed like shaving, dudes are just chilling, having a spa day while it's about to get completely roasted. And Johnny's like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? He's like, we need to get up there and like do something. And they're like, well, there's no like, what do you mean, dude? Go take a shower, we got time. It's like, no, we don't got time, bro. But
that's so funny. I guess part of it is that I don't think Galactus has intentions of like killing the people of Earth. He's just more concerned with draining the energy, which is a byproduct of killing the human population. So he's not like completely evil, he's just selfish.
Hustle by any means.
Yeah, hustle. Luckily, though, the Watcher does have a plan when they're having their spa day. He lets them know that there's a machine that can save the human race. The catch is that it's not on Earth, and the only one of the Fantastic Four that could reach that is the youngest one, and that's the Human Torch. Even though the Watcher can't go get it himself because he would be participating in like a crucial conflict, still gives him the information so that Johnny Storm can go get that machine so that they can save planet Earth.
Yeah, dude, he's just slightly bending the rules like he plays for the Patriots. So I respect it. So I'm all in on that. And it's just like, yeah, dude, how are you sending like a teenager out to the farthest depths of space where there's like unlife and stuff like that, which can like literally like make you die if it touches you? It's like, bro, my parents weren't even 100 on me driving 20 minutes to high school, like back in the day. And they're just sending this dude to the far depths of space. They're like, don't worry about it, you can get this. And like, no big deal. But I thought it was really cool. And then also what I find hilarious is that Galactus, you know how he doesn't give a shit about these people, but I love the disrespect where he just lands on their building, then he just starts assembling his shit on top of it so that he can like destroy the planet. It's like, yeah, bro, I just moved in. What you gonna do about it? I'm like, damn, dude.
Oh, it's like prison, bro. But what's funny about that too is he thinks he's got the thing completely set up. He goes to hit the power button on this thing to destroy Earth, and it's not working. And so he looks over at the machine, and here's the thing fucking ripping it apart.
Dude, the best part is that he's always wisecracking while he's doing it too. He's never silent or saying anything heroic. He's just like talking mad shit to everyone's face and like making jokes, and it cracks me the hell up. He's like, if I can't punch it, I'm gonna rip on it, and it's just like, hell yeah, dude, that's my motto.
When he's tearing up this machine too, he's got this really funny line, and it says, and to show you I ain't no whistling Dixie, here's mud in your eye. And he tears up the power cord. It's like, what's wrong with you?
It's like, bro, you don't gotta announce yourself, just do the damn thing. But he's always talking shit, dude. Doesn't matter to who, and I love it. Especially when Galactus calls down his Punisher, which predates the Punisher that originated in Spider-Man. It's just like this like stout little Kirby-esque sweet looking monster thing, and it looks big as hell floating in the sky or whatever. But once it's actually on the ground, this thing is like Savannah sized, and it's just like a little pit bull that like beats their ass. And
you think it's sweet looking?
Yeah, I thought the thing was cool as hell.
Bro, I thought it looked like a Battletoad or something.
Exactly.
Kind of robot
That's
frog
sweet,
with
dude.
armor. That is kind of sweet.
Yeah.
And the goofy thing about it too is it's strong as hell. The whole Fantastic Four can't take it on.
No, dude, it's like a pit bull. It's so cool. It's just like, it's beating up the thing, and things like, oh, nah, bro, like, stand back. I got this. This thing's short as hell. And then that thing like triples its power for no reason and just like starts whooping on him and hitting him in the head. And he's like, what the hell, dude? I can't take much more of this. And they all have to just cower behind Susan's invisible like shield, and they just stand there until Galactus calls him off. He's like, bro, go back. You did a good job. And he just ships it back up. Like, you don't want to keep that around. They're like, whew, we took care of that thing. It's like, no, you didn't. That thing can come back at any moment and beat your ass.
Matter of fact, it kind of looks stronger than Galactus. But while that thing's going back to its ship, to conclude the issue, Silver Surfer kind of wakes up from getting smacked up by the thing, and he kind of falls into some lady's apartment.
Alicia, bro.
The thing has a big crush on Alicia, but moreover, she starts explaining like compassion to him and feelings, and for the first time ever, Silver Surfer wants to disobey his master because he kind of likes Earth.
She like makes him feel and like, you know, makes him a little soft boy, and he goes full Benedict Arnold on his boy, and he's just like, you know what, these broads, she's making a lot of sense. She's blind, and she somehow like is like, I can feel your energy and you're lonely. And it's like, I didn't know the blind had that power, but that's very cool. And she totally she's the one who turns the tide here. If it wasn't for her, I don't know what the hell would be going on.
I agree, because if she didn't do that and the Silver Surfer didn't want to disobey his master, they probably wouldn't have enough time to defeat Galactus.
Absolutely. So like moving into issue 50, which caps the story here, starting off, Surfer's pleading with Galactus. He's like, look, dude, these people have feelings. Like, you remember when your race was like this primitive, and like they're low-key throwing jabs at humans and whatnot. But he's like, come on. He's like, we don't got to do this. You don't got to kill people. Galactus is like, well, dude, I need these resources. And he just betrays his homie. He's like, I'm not going to kill you, though. I'm just going to try and restrain you. And it's like, bro, that's pretty soft, dog. You know what this guy's capable of. Why don't you just try and end his ass?
I like that he cocoons him, though.
That is so cool. And then the thing comes up to it, and they're like, yeah, this cocoon is made out of pure energy. And the thing's like, I gotta touch it, dude. Reed's like, bro, don't fucking touch it. And thing touches it anyways, gets zapped, and goes, what did you expect? It's like a child learning the hard way not to touch like a hot stove, and he's a grown-ass rock man. Like,
he says, big deal. Next time, warn me harder.
Dude is so dense. Is like, is this guy Polish?
Runs in the blood.
Oh man, this whole issue is just like Surfer and Galactus beefing. Is just pretty much like homies getting in like a soft fight where they're like, dog, I don't want to hurt you, please come back. No side's really prevailing. It's pretty much like the first half of the story, but this is where we learn, like, even in the midst of the story, like when you would have been reading it when it came out, Watcher says matter-of-factly, Galactus isn't good nor evil, but he does as he must. Galactus truly isn't an evil being. He's literally just pretty much a god who has to do this, otherwise he would die. So it's like the ends don't justify the means, and he's not really like a redeemable character, but like he's not doing it with like hate in his heart, I guess.
Exactly. And while that's going on, that gives enough time for the Human Torch to act on what the Watcher gave him information on. And so he successfully goes and travels to Galactus's like planet, and he gets the machine that would stop Galactus Galactus and brings it right back onto the Baxter building. And so now you have Silver Surfer, the Fantastic Four, the Watcher versus Galactus. Now the stakes are kind of higher because they have the bargaining chip with that machine. Reed Richards is the one that negotiates a deal with Galactus. He says, look, I got the machine that would completely destroy you from your planet. If I hand this over to you, you leave. So that's enough for Galactus to be like, you know what? Yeah, Earth's not worth dying for. I can suck the energy from a different planet. I'll figure it out later. The two to come to an agreement. So he hands over the device. Galactus flees for the first time ever. And it's at this point the Watcher leaves too, but the Silver Surfer stays here on Earth. The girl gave Silver Surfer empathy for the planet and comes running to him and thanks him for saving the Earth. The Thing peeps it and he's really, really hurt because he's got such a crush on her. And at this point in the story, he feels too ugly for any woman. After that, the story kind of ends with every single member of the Fantastic Four pondering what they want to do in the future.
Yeah, dude. And like the Thing in that moment got like unintentionally cucked by the Surfer, who doesn't even care for women. And he just dips anyways. And the Thing's all big and sad about it. And he just big sad leaves and wanders around town, which by the way, Alicia gets around town very well for a blind gal. She got all the way to the top of that damn building. She has no stick or nothing. So I don't know. I mean, I guess you get used to it, obviously. No offense to any blind listeners out there. But I don't know how she traverses a city that swiftly.
And has a relationship with like every Marvel superhero.
Yeah, dude. Well, she's got to in through the Thing, my guy. Alicia Masters, she knows. But I really like this little tidbit that's kind of like after Galactus dips and everyone's kind of, huffing and puffing about, where Jay Jonah wrote in the newspaper, Galactus is a hoax. And the dude says, like on the street, he's reading it and he's like, well, the good thing to do is always read J. Jonah Jameson and then believe the exact opposite, which is just like me with like anything that ESPN fantasy football writes. So it's like anytime you see certain people, you're just like, the opposite is definitely true. But yeah, pretty much like after that, I mean, Reed's going back to doing his thing. Sue's still mad that he's not paying attention to her, and he just says science over hose, baby. I'm like, I like that he sticks to his guns. He's like, you know what? You can keep nagging, but I'm going to keep spinning test tubes.
He told her to stop pussyfooting around his lab.
He says, watch yourself. I'm at work here. You go do something else.
He does kind of feel bad about it, though, and kind of chases her, and they're kind of like, the issue ends with them in an argument.
What else is new? He's married. But pretty much that's like the gist of the actual Galactus trilogy. But we do have the little bit of the end of issue 50, where it pretty much is just Johnny starting college ASAP. Just a little time skip or whatever. He's just like, oh, well, just save the world. Time to go to college. And that's where he meets his best homie, Wyatt Wingfoot. And he starts daydreaming about his girl again before pretty much that's it, dude.
That being said, what would you rate it?
Oh, man. Because I have such a fondness for Silver Age books, and I especially love the characters in this book, I'm going to go 8 out of 10. I think that it's not like high concept or like as convoluted as some of the other things we may have read. I mean, it may not be, I don't know, the most technical type of thing, but it's just like the classic Kirby art is immaculate. I love the, like, obviously the grid style, like, just all the drawing, the colors, the inks. Joe Sinnott does a great job. Stan Lee's writing, I love it. Even the playful banter just between the Fantastic Four. I like that they each have their own voice, which sounds like I'm slighting people, but nowadays sometimes it's hard to differentiate voices between characters. So I really like how he writes the Thing as opposed to Reed. And it's got a really good balance. I really like the characters. Obviously, I stated that several times, but I love the Silver Surfer and I love Galactus. So I thought it was pretty badass. And I like that, honestly, you got like 3 bits of story within 3 issues, which I like. I like that deconstructed storytelling. I don't need a 6-issue arc that tells me nothing. So I really like this, and I feel like it's a staple for anybody who loves Marvel and loves Silver Age books to see where their favorite characters originated. What do you think?
I think this is the first time that we've agreed on a rating. I gave it an 8 out of 10 as well. The art was awesome, very classic, big fan of Jack Kirby's style. Also nice to read another story by Stan the Man. A lot of respect for the Fantastic Four as well. Didn't realize the Thing was so funny, nor did I really understand the relationship between Reed and Sue until reading this. Even though they don't always get along, they're definitely still a power couple, so I like that. I think Reed definitely makes for a good leader of the group in general. He's a lot more mature than the other people in the group because Johnny Storm's a kid, the Thing's always being sarcastic, etc. But because the story only took place over 3 issues, it's hard for me to give it more than an 8 out of 10. It's only so much time you can really invest into the plot because it is a basic story, but moreover, it's definitely one of the better runs in Marvel, and I think it's funny that it's basically a story about fracking with Galactus trying to take all the elements. But that would conclude my overview of the story. Solid 8 out of 10, and I'm definitely glad I read it. We had to get the issues individually through Comixology, so I don't know that there's a trade for this one, but it's a more significant time in Marvel Comics. I believe I even bought you issue 50 of the Fantastic Four.
Yes, sir.
So for collectors out there, all 3 of these issues are pretty significant. I guess that will lead us to our last chapter of the podcast. It's our Dream Team creative team.
Yes, sir. Our little exercise that we're doing this week, like you just said, is going to be our all-time dream team. You can pick anybody from the past, someone now. You can kind of state, like, do you like their art then or now, the writing then or now? Do you want the book to come out today? Whatever. So I'm going to get it started. I want to know what you think. So this may be a little too on brand for me, and I feel like both of these people have actually worked on this character recently separately, but not together, which I feel like would be fantastic. So I'm going to go with, I would like to see a run on, of course, Shazam, which is a little bit too on the nose. But for my writer, it's kind of an oddball pick, but I've never really disliked anything he'd done in the past. And I think he has a reverence for the silver and golden age of characters. So I'd like to see Grant Morrison write Shazam. And I'd like to pair his art with Evan Doc Shaner, who had done the Convergence Shazam story, and then he's also working on the Adam Strange book with Tom King and Mitch Gerads currently. I feel like he has a really perfect take on Shazam as far as art goes, and I think that it kind of evokes that Silver Agey type feel. And as we're Grant Morrison, you know, he kind of is like very high concept. Sometimes you don't know what the hell he's getting at, but it's always quality. I mean, look at All-Star Superman. I don't see why you couldn't do something like that with Shazam. And then also just the fact that he wrote him in the Earth S edition of Multiversity, and it was perfect. We had the old school Lieutenant Marvels, we had Uncle Marvel, we had everything. I'd like to have like a sense of return to that continuity, even though I think Grant's obviously a little busy to do that in real life. That would be my dream team just because that is my favorite character, and I think that both of their strengths would complement each other, even though it seems like an unlikely pairing.
I like your picks because, to your point, Grant Morrison wrote maybe my favorite running comic books, and it was a Superman story. So if he can do Superman, I'm very confident he could do Shazam.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more on that. I think it'd be a killer team. But enough about my team. Who would you pick?
Okay, so different people from different times in comic books. So my favorite writer, even though I don't like him personally, is Alan Moore. I would take anything he wrote in the 80s and pair it with a Spider-Man story. So he's done Watchmen, he's done a lot of DC, but I would like to see his take on Spider-Man. And I was thinking maybe Steve Ditko, but because we already got a lot of classic Steve Ditko Amazing Spider-Man art, I would go Jack Kirby. I mean, they were both doing art at the same time and both pushing out classic art styles in comic books. And you see more of Steve Ditko on Amazing Spider-Man, but if you could get like 60s Jack Kirby with 80s Alan Moore on a Spider-Man story, I think that would kill.
I mean, that'd be pretty wild. Those are two different like styles, but I think, yeah, I mean, those are both like peak artists and writers. I would definitely read it. I mean, who's gonna deny that? That'd be badass. I mean, I just wonder how Alan Moore would write the character of Spider-Man, seeing as how like DC's a bit more grounded in reality and a little bit more dark, and you know, Marvel's a bit more kind of goofy and lighthearted. So I wonder what he would do to Spider-Man. Like, is he gonna lose an arm or something, or you know? But like, I would totally pick that up. I think that's a cool, unique duo.
Now, granted, they would both need to be in their peak, but I think that could have been a killer run in comics.
Absolutely, dude. So with that being said, I think that's our show for the week. So you can always be sure to check us out on social media wherever you can. We're on YouTube at CBJ Podcast, search us by Comic Book Junkies. You can find us on Instagram at CBJ Pod, as well as Twitter at the same handle. And you can find us on Facebook at CBJ Podcast. And for next week,
we will be reading the Judas Contract, basically what got Berger into comic books.
Hell yeah, dude. First Disco Suit Nightwing, Deathstroke's origin, statutory nonsense. Don't really endorse that, but I mean, hey, it's inflammatory. But I mean, shit hits the fan for the Teen Titans in this story. I need to read through every single issue. I mean, I'm familiar with the story, but I need to read every single page in order to satisfy my need for this book. So,
really good creative team on it. It's something I've never read completely either, so we're both really excited to create a podcast on it.
Catch us next time, and be sure to check us out, ask us some questions, leave a rating or review, tell your friends. That's the best way to spread the podcast. Any podcast would appreciate that one. But thank you guys for listening. Take it easy.
Till next time.